webinar in the Agency and Freelancer Academy series. Can you just let me know that you can hear me okay before we get started? If you can hear me, just type yes in the chat box. That would be awesome. Cool. Okay, Monica, Tony, yes. Okay, Kristen, great. Okay, great. So before we get started, you guys know what it's like with these webinars. There will always be a few people that kind of turn up a few minutes late. So we'll hang around for a little bit before we get straight into things. But whilst we're doing that, it would be great to hear from you all, maybe where you're based, where you're tuning into this webinar from. As you can see by the kind of darkness behind me, it is the evening time with me. I am actually in Tallinn in Estonia right now. I would love to hear where you guys are from, anyone listening. I know that it's afternoon time in the US, so I'm assuming most of you are from the US, but let us know in the comments or in the chat box where you're from, where you're tuning in from, and a bit more about what your business does whilst we're waiting for everybody else to join us. Great. So Tim from New Hampshire, Eric from Montgomery, Alabama, we have Alex from Mexico, Tony from New York. Cool. Looks like we have a very worldwide audience today, which is great. Philadelphia, North Carolina. Awesome. I wonder if we have anybody from Europe that is staying up and tuning into this. If you're from Europe, let us know in the chat section. Can you guys see me as well on the camera? I just want to make sure. Yeah. Okay, cool. Awesome. So I thought I'd start with the camera on. If it gets kind of too dark behind me or if it gets in the way too much, I will turn that off. If you could also let me know that you can see the presentation deck on the screen as well, that would be awesome. Great, lots of yeses, that's good, cool. Okay, David in Kentucky says that he's a managed IT service provider and full inbound agency, certified HubSpot partner, awesome. Cool, so we've got lots of people, which is good. We'll give it a couple more minutes just for anybody else that decides to turn up. We'll give it until 5 minutes past the hour because I know what happens sometimes in these webinars. And so today we're going to be talking all about client onboarding and content creation as well. And just to give everyone that's tuning in a brief kind of bit, this is my very first webinar that I've done for PromoRepublic. I'm very excited about this. You have to bear with me if I'm a little bit rusty on some things. I started working with the team literally this week. So I'm very excited about this, very excited about launching this agency and freelancer academy and helping you all out and providing you some useful content too. It looks like most of the people listening to this and watching this are agency owners so far. Are there any freelancers, any one-man or one-woman bands that are tuning in tonight as well? Awesome. Teresa. Eric is on right now too. Awesome. This is great. Okay, so we'll just give it 1 minute and then we'll jump into things. Heidi says, not an agency, a publishing house. Awesome. This looks good. It looks like we've got a really good mix of different people and different businesses on this call, which is really great. And also, I will be kind of engaging with you all as much as I can throughout the webinar. We'll be doing some like open Q&As, but we also have Christina from PromoRepublic who is in the kind of chat comments section as well, who may be responding to a few questions. Hopefully Christina is here. I know that she said she was going to be helping out. Okay, Tim says, while we're waiting, what are you using for a camera and mic? Okay, Tim, so I have a Logitech webcam. It's basically, I'm waiting on some softbox lights to arrive to light me up a bit better for evening times like this, but I'm using a Logitech webcam and I have the Rode Procaster microphone plugged into like a Focusrite setup. So I'm a podcaster, you'll find out about that shortly. And I just got this new setup literally like 3 or 4 days ago, so I've upgraded my mic system. Thanks for asking. Cool. Let's get started. So it's 5 minutes past. Let's jump into things. Let's not wait around any longer. I know that as agency owners, freelancers, business owners, I know how valuable your time is, and I do value that. So we will get started now. So today we're going to be talking about client onboarding and content creation. And as I said, this is the very first episode of the Agency and Freelancer Academy. So I'll just give a real brief intro as to what that actually means. We're going to be doing 1 webinar a week. We're also going to be doing some interviews that will be published on Facebook. We're going to be putting together some blog posts, some how-to guides. just a load of useful content and information for agency owners and freelancers. The PromoRepublic team is a team that I've known for a while, and they contacted me letting me know that they are working on this new solution for agency owners and for freelancers, and that they wanted some support. And that's why I've joined them to help out with this. And this is the very first kind of initiative of ours, is this Agency and Freelancer Academy. So everything here is going to be action-packed, value-packed. We're leading with value for you and just trying to help you guys and girls grow your businesses and give you as much support as we can. I think that's one thing that the PromoRepublic team have been great at so far, is being that kind of number one resource for helping small business owners, social media marketers, etc. And now we're just going to be taking that to the next level. And this is specifically for agency owners and freelancers. So today's agenda, we are going to be talking about how to successfully onboard clients, how to create the right kind of content for social media management clients, and how to collaborate with your clients too. I know these are three very kind of wide topic areas, and we could talk about them for hours and hours, but of course we won't do that. We'll keep them as brief as possible, and I want to make sure that this webinar is as kind of engaged as possible too. I don't want to sit here and just talk at you and show you slides for an hour or however long it will take. I would much rather that we all engage together and go through some questions and answers, etc. But this is the agenda that we have in place for today. So a few of you will be wondering who I am. I can actually see some familiar faces in the attendees list, which is really exciting too. But Dylan Hey, I'm an agency owner myself. So it was 5 months ago now, I decided to set up my own digital marketing agency. So I am still fairly new to being an agency owner, but it's been a very successful 5 months, which is great. Before setting up my agency, I was working for a software startup called Leadfeeder. I was looking after growth for those guys across Europe and the UK specifically. And before Leadfeeder, I worked at Hootsuite, who I'm sure lots of you know. And before that, I worked within sales for quite a long time. So I host a top 15 iTunes podcast. That's why I've got this lovely fancy mic set up here. I really enjoy interviewing business owners, successful marketers, and sharing their story, but also sharing lots of actionable tips and value with my audience. And that podcast is called the Social Media Growth Show. So if you ever want to listen to some really interesting interviews and pick up some tips and tricks on your way to the office or out and about at the weekends or in the evenings, please go ahead and download that podcast. You'll find it on iTunes and pretty much everywhere else. And yeah, my work has been featured by a number of other kind of websites and companies, etc. And I also manage my own Facebook group too of just about 1,200 business owners and entrepreneurs, and that's called Sell More with Social Media. So that's a little bit about me as briefly as possible, because this webinar is not about me. This webinar is about you. And thank you in the chat for the congratulations. I think that was for setting up my own agency. So thanks, I appreciate that. You all know how difficult and how time consuming that can be. So the first thing that we are going to focus on, the first topic, is how to successfully onboard your clients. And before we get into that, of course, there is a ton of different ways that you can successfully onboard clients, and it also depends on a number of things, like what kind of client they are. For the purpose of this, we'll be thinking and talking about social media management. But first, I want to ask you all a question. So anyone that is watching, if you could let me know in the chat box or in the chat section, what are some of the biggest difficulties that you have when you onboard a client? Like, what's the hardest thing about clienting, or maybe where do you want to improve the most on client onboarding? If you could let me know in the chat, I'll just wait for a few answers to come through. For me personally, being fairly new to this, like I said, well, not new, but 5 or 6 months into running an agency, for me, the biggest learning point has been kind of expectation setting and making sure I do that in the right way from the beginning, because I've kind of learned the hard way where if I haven't been explicit with a client about what they can expect from us or how we communicate with them or what the process looks like, then they can end up being on email backwards and forwards with them or on the phone with them backwards and forwards all day, every day. And I'm trying to step away from those kind of client relationships. So for me, one of the biggest areas where I've been trying to improve recently is that expectation setting piece. So how about everyone listening to this? Monica says, getting them to use the project management tools and collaboration. Okay, Natalie says collaboration and expectations. Okay, so it seems like we're all in a similar kind of position. When you say collaboration itself, let's talk to Natalie here because you put this, and also Monica. So when you say like collaboration is difficult, what kind of area or aspect of collaboration? Because I know this is like a big piece, and it might take you a while to type away in the chat box. So there's no rush. But with collaboration, is that like getting feedback from them on certain aspects, or what does that mean? In the meantime, we'll go through some of the other answers. So pricing, okay, that's an interesting one. Mary said pricing has been difficult when onboarding clients. That's actually something we're going to cover later on in Agency and Freelancer Academy. We have a whole section on pricing, so that's going to come in the next few weeks. Okay, so it looks like most people are having issues with having people and clients following timelines, collaboration around like content approval, that seems to come up a lot, and also expectations too. Clients not being responsive. Okay, cool. This is great. Thank you everyone as well for engaging. I really appreciate this. This is just going to make sure that we can give you the most kind of educational and informative process as possible, right? Rather than me just reading out from some slides, I'd rather actually help you all. Okay, cool. So what we've done at PromoRepublic is put together this onboarding checklist for onboarding a new client. Now, I know there's a lot of text on the screen here. Can you all see this okay? Let me know that you can read through this, because if not, I may be able to zoom in. Okay, you can see it. Cool. So this is a checklist. Now, if you want this checklist, the first thing I would say is maybe take a screenshot, or if not, I'm going to give you all my email at the end of this webinar. And if you have any questions, you can contact me. But I do also believe the webinar is being recorded and it will be sent out to everybody too. So yeah, you can rewatch this. I'm just making sure that it's still recording. Yeah, it's recording, so this will be resent to everybody too. Mary's actually said the screen is freezing every so often. Is anybody else experiencing that? Okay. Okay, everyone says they're okay, Mary, so it may be your connection. Sorry about that. Hopefully you can hear me. If not, you can watch back on the recording. So this is the onboarding checklist that the team at PromoRepublic have put together. We're going to go through this together, but PromoRepublic also offer like a managed service for some of their clients, and this is part of the onboarding process and checklist that they use. I also have my own onboarding process, which is similar in some ways, different in others. So we can go through those together. The first thing I want to say is, what does actually, do you have an onboarding checklist or an onboarding process set in place? Yes. Okay, good. David said he does, which is really good news. Good, David. That's something that I've been working on recently. We've got a mixture of yeses and nos. So hopefully this is gonna help out. Now, we've split this into 3 steps. So this is basically like after you've agreed a deal, if you want to call it that, or after you've agreed to work in partnership with a new client. So you've already been through the kind of the discovery process, and you've been through the talking to them about costing, etc. So we will. Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat. Edward here introducing himself. Hi, Edward. So yeah, so this is the process for after you've had that discovery kind of call, and this is what will happen. So step 1, this is before we set up the kickoff meeting, and we're talking about collecting client information. So the team thought this through, and they were saying, like, before you have this onboarding call, you want to make sure you have everything ready for that onboarding call. And that can be simple things like taking a look through the new client's social channels, taking a look through their competitors, etc. Maybe even preparing some case studies that you know are really relevant to this client specifically. Like, let's say it's an e-commerce business and you've worked with a ton of e-commerce businesses before. In a discovery call, sorry, in the kickoff call, if you can show them some of the case studies in the past, that would be useful too. So the introduction phase is like collecting that client info. But then step 2, pre-meeting, this is where you have to make sure you have like the meeting agenda outlined. This is something that is like super important for me now. If I'm doing any phone calls, any face-to-face meetings, any Zoom calls, anything like that, the best way to make the most use of the time is to make sure there's a clear and agreed upon agenda before every call. I'm not going to read through all of these bullet points because you can see them. I think what I'll do is actually show you a couple of examples of client forms. So I can share with you the client onboarding form that the team at PromoRepublic use when they're onboarding a new client. So we'll do that first, and then I'll show you some of my own personal onboarding process. So I'm just going to arrange my screens really quickly for you before I start to share this. And I'm just going to share the screen with you now. Okay, so I should be screen sharing. Can you let me know if you can see the screen? Okay, people are saying no. So let me. How about now? Can you see the screen now? Should be an onboarding form on the screen. People are saying loading. It should be like a green looking box and background with a form on the screen. I'm just gonna switch between screens real quick to see your answers. Okay. So okay, so it's telling me that it's just loading. Let's try one more thing here. Hello everyone, can you hear me okay now? Okay, I'm not too sure what happened there at all. Is my camera on? Can you see me in the camera? That's the main thing. So let's try and share the screen again so that you can see the client onboarding form. Were you able to see that at all when I was sharing the screen? Mary saying you socialized in the meantime. That's great. Okay, so let's try and share so that you can see this onboarding checklist. We'll try this one more time and pray that it works. Okay, everyone, I should be sharing the screen now. Can you let me know if you can see that? You can. I'm really hoping we can. Okay, awesome. I think we've got things back up and running again. I'm not too sure what happened there, so everyone, I'm really sorry about that. Thank you for sticking with us. So this is the PromoRepublic full service onboarding form. Now, we're going to go through this to give you an idea. I mentioned that for me personally as an agency owner, the onboarding process is something that I've been working on very hard recently to improve, and I've realized that onboarding a client correctly and in the proper way means that the relationship is often a lot more successful and tends to go on for a lot longer too. And this is one way that the PromoRepublic team have improved their onboarding process is with this full service onboarding form. So this will be sent to every single client before they start working with the team. And this is to kind of extend that discovery process so that before you get on the onboarding call, you already know a load of information about the client and so that you can really lead that call the best way possible. Now, who here that's watching this webinar, who does something similar? Do you use a form or is this something that's completely new to a lot of you? I'd love to hear from you. So I can see we've got a few people typing away, so I'll let that come in. Okay, cool. So Tony uses an online form, Natalie uses a website form, Eddie uses a form. That's really good because a lot of businesses and agency owners I speak to actually don't. So Mary says, will you be sharing this form with us? I think we will, but Christina will have to confirm for me. But this is the PromoRepublic form. Christina can hopefully come in the chat and let you know whether we'll be able to share this with you or not, so that you can take a look through it. But we can see that it's just learning more about the other person's business, and it's quite in depth, this form as well. So there's options to share goals about the partnership, to share with us exactly which marketing channel to use, to name their competitors, etc. I can see Joel says he uses Paperform for this. I actually use Paperform too, Joel. So this is a part of the process that is extremely important. And okay, so someone in the chat, I can see Sharvel saying, what do you use ClickFunnels for? We'll go through that in a moment because this is something that I wanted to show you. But this is PromoRepublic's onboarding form. And yeah, okay, we'll be sharing this everyone via email. So you can go through this in your own time, but this is an onboarding form. You can see how in-depth this is and how much information can be collected here, which will really help you in that onboarding process. Now, personally, what I do with my agency, something that I've launched very recently, not for social media marketing yet, but we offer paid acquisition for some of our clients. And I'm launching a paid acquisition onboarding funnel so that I can start to not automate all of the process, but so that I can spend less time on meetings and calls with my clients and less time backwards and forwards on email, more time delivering. And I'm actually going to show you all what I do with that if you're interested. Would anybody be interested to see my own version of this kind of thing too? Yep. Okay, great. So this took me some time to set up. That's some of you could see through this funnel. And it's a video-based funnel, so they can get to know me, so they don't feel like it's a robot. I'm being told the screen is frozen again. Can you still hear me? Everybody's still here. Is it just the screen that's freezing? Okay, it's getting better. Okay, so maybe I think we should change the webinar software icon. So there is no camera running, it's just my voice. I turned that off, but can you see screen share? It should be like a onboarding page. Yes, okay, great. So this is what you can expect from onboarding when you're working with me at Hey Digital. I have a video just welcoming them to the fold or to the team almost. And there'll be this video here that you can see. And then it just tells them, set some expectations about how long this onboarding process is going to take them. But then they go to the next step, and all of our paid acquisition programs, we like to call them, are a 90-day program to begin with. So I've recorded a 20-minute slide deck webinar, not webinar, but a 20-minute slide deck of me personally going through and showing them exactly what they can expect from the first 90 days. So I'll just like quickly flick through some of this with you so that you can see like what kind of slides are involved here. I basically tell them what's involved in the program, what's not involved in the program, how the program will be successful, etc. And then after that, just gonna wait before I go ahead. Okay, everyone. I'm going to stop the screen sharing and go back to the webinar deck and see if that will help us all. Can you still hear me okay? Yep, you can hear me. Okay. Okay, so we're going to have to improvise here. I had a load of stuff that I wanted to share with you all on my screen, but I think we're going to have to kind of skip through that. In the follow-up, we can send you the different links that you can take a look through. I'm really sorry about this, everyone. I'm not too sure why this is happening. It must be an issue with the webinar software. But let's carry on through this deck. So you can see that that's kind of pre-meeting, pre-kickoff meeting. That's the process that we would go through with onboarding forms, with getting everything. Yeah, Travell says, can you share with us the link? So we'll share all the links with you after the webinar. Now, on that initial kickoff meeting, I've found something that's been extremely useful is to present all of the team who are involved in the working process to the client and make sure that everybody gets to know each other, putting faces to names. We'll usually do this on a Zoom call with my agency, just so that your client knows who they're working with and what that process is going to look like. Then we will go through the client onboarding form with them, kind of review some of their answers and share with them what we're going to be working on. We'll kind of get access to all of the materials, tools, and accounts that are required. Now, I like to do this on the onboarding form. So if I'm onboarding a social media client, I will get all of their login information, etc. We can do that on the form. And in this kickoff meeting, we'll start to work together to build out this mutual success plan so we can set goals for the next 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or however long that relationship goes on for. So this is the onboarding checklist that we've put together. But now we're going to go into another section about how to create the right content. So before we get started on that, can we just see who is still with us? If you're still here, if you're still able to hear me, still seeing the deck, please let us know in the comments section. I'm going to have to check a few more times than normal just because of the issues that we've had. So sorry about that. Great. Okay, so Monica, Natalie, so we have a lot of people here, which is awesome. So we're going to be talking about how to create the right content. And this is, of course, something extremely important for any social media management client specifically, is how do you create the right content for them? So I would love to put that question out to all of you listening to this and watching this. How do you create the right content for your clients? What's the most important part of that process? We'll wait for some answers to come in. I can see there's a few of you typing away, which is great. So Venus put engagement. So what do you mean by that, Vino? When you say engagement, do you mean you kind of look through which of their posts are the most engaged, or are you saying that you focus purely on engagement style posts? I'd love to hear from you. Let's see, there's a few others typing in too. Relevant. Okay, so Venus says relevant hashtags coordinated with content. Okay. Joel telling their story and vision and unique positioning. I love that. That's really important. Positioning is so key, and storytelling is super important. Patrick, he determines the client avatar. Yep, this is something that's like, I come from a sales background before this, growth and marketing, and we would never do anything, any kind of outreach or any work without determining our key target client avatar. I'm seeing some more questions about will there be replays? Yes, there will, so that you can take all of this in. Cool. Okay, Mary says, guess what? Oh, okay. I think Mary says she doesn't do any guesswork. That's good. Cool. So we've got lots of great answers coming in. Now we're breaking down the PromoRepublic, the content creation process here, into 2 steps, and these 2 steps really go hand in hand with each other, because if you mess up step 1, or if you're not too great with step 1, step 2 will become very difficult. And this is a lesson that I've learned myself in my agency with social media clients, with paid acquisition clients too, is if you mess up that first step, everything else becomes a lot harder. And that's why I was talking a lot about how I've been working to improve my onboarding process, because that is the very first early step in a client relationship, is how you position yourselves. But with content creation, it's super important. If you don't understand your client or your client's business, how can you then go away and create good content for them? The answer there really is that you can't, right? So there are a number of ways that you can improve this content creation process. The most important, I think, is something that I think it was maybe Patrick. Yeah, Patrick mentioned determining your client's avatar. So who is buying from your clients? Who do your clients want to get in front of? Who that's super important. Okay, so I've had another couple of people saying no sound. This is not going too well at all, is it, everybody? Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, you can hear me now. Great. Again, I can only apologize for these issues. We'll make sure that they are not happening again for next week's webinar. So I do hope you'll join us on next week's one too. And I really hope you'll stay around for the rest of this one. Although we are having a few problems, I hope that the value that you're getting is going to be more than beneficial for the time. So yeah, a few people saying click meeting should be a no-go next time. I think you're correct. So content creation is super important, Patrick said, to really understand your clients. And there are a number of ways to do that, through analyzing their current buyers or their current clients, looking into what content resonates with them, what content they engage with. There's also a number of tools online if you're new to creating like target buyer personas, to help you with that. I know that HubSpot actually have a really good target buyer persona creation too. How do you guys listening to this? How do you create buyer personas, or is this the first step that you think about when you're working with new clients too? I'd love to hear about that from you, because for me personally, I always focus on buyer personas. So once we have those buyer personas, that's when we start to then create the content strategy and the content plan. And this is, again, like super important. If you mess this up, the next steps are going to be even harder. Like if we don't have a solid content plan in place, how are we going to create good visuals, or how are we going to create good copy for social posts, and how are we going to get that delivered to the client for approval too. So Monica says, what does it mean when it says create copyright? So by that I meant like creating copy. So for social posts, if you're writing a tweet, what's the tweet going to say? That's what we mean there. And so, yeah, Julia says, what if the client doesn't even know their own buyer personas? I encounter this a lot with my clients too, actually, Julia. So you don't have to do this, but me personally, I feel like if I have some knowledge, it is my duty to kind of share that with my client, help them. So I will help them go through that buyer persona creation process. If I don't personally have the time to like sit on the phone and go through it with them, I'll share some documentation with them to show them how to do that. Mary says she actually uses Facebook information to create one. That's a really good, it's a really good example. You can, of course, like when it comes to advertising, you can create lookalike audiences and all that kind of stuff. But for a content creation process, I would just really emphasize sitting down and working out with the client who their target buyer is. And again, you can actually incorporate this into your onboarding process, like in that form that you send them or in the calls that you have with them. So that's really important. So once we've done all of that, once we've done all the preparation, that's when we can then go away and create the copies, create the visuals, and deliver the content to the client for approval. And you can see here how getting that first step right will really improve the flow of the second step. Now, there are a few ways that, well, there's loads of ways, to be honest with you, that PromoRepublic can help with this content creation process. I'm going to go through a few of them. We still have a load of more educational stuff in this webinar too. This isn't going to turn into like a, it's not going to turn into a product demo or anything like that. But I'm going to give you a few ideas about how PromoRepublic can help with that. Now, the first thing, this is going to be the first slide that I'm going to share. So I just want to make sure you're all still there because I can see Julius has said offline. I'm hoping that doesn't mean that you can't hear me. So this part of the webinar, I was actually really hoping I could share a screen with you and walk through some of this with you. I'm not sure if we should try that or not. Let's first go through the slides and then maybe we can try it one last time. But to help with, like, I know from creating social content that one of the biggest difficulties, especially if you're managing multiple clients, can be how do you find the inspiration for the social post that you're going to create? And I can actually see in the chat section, Monica says she plans to replace Hootsuite with PromoRepublic. Now, I'm kind of in a funny position here because I worked at the team at Hootsuite for a while, for like just over a year, and I was so in love with Hootsuite and with their tool. But when I discovered PromoRepublic, I was blown away about how blown away about some of the additions that PromoRepublic have that can really help me as a as an agency owner and as a business owner. So one of these areas is the post ideas library. Built within PromoRepublic is this post ideas library where there's a load of handcrafted templates that are created and updated every single month, I believe, loaded with ideas for you. So this isn't us saying you must post these. These are just ideas to help you. So I can show you this. I'm going to try and show you what it looks like very briefly a bit later on. But first, let's just go through some of the other ways that PromoRepublic can help. As I said, it's not going to be like super salesy. There's only a couple. There's literally 2 more product slides. So don't worry. But I just wanted to show you this because as a social media like enthusiast, as an agency owner, I've said this a couple of times, but it really, I feel like it's my duty to help other people. And when I discovered this, I was really impressed with ultimately the time saving aspect, because I know as business owners how valuable our time is. And one thing here is a graphics editor that PromoRepublic have. So I imagine a lot of you are probably using something like Canva or a graphic designer or maybe Adobe Spark. So let me know in the chat section how many of you are currently using like Canva or Adobe Spark or any other software. And then what do you do with it next? Like, do you create that content and then download it and then put it into your social media scheduling platform? Is that the kind of workflow? I think that's what most people have. Yeah, so look, like there's 7 or 8 comments of people saying that they use a tool like Canva or Adobe Spark or Photoshop. They download the content, then they upload it somewhere else. So that is the way that most social media businesses work and most agency owners work. It's the way I used to work. But PromoRepublic has brought all of this into one place. So you have this graphics editor where, think of it, I don't want to say like Canva, but it's very similar, where you can literally create these graphics directly within PromoRepublic and then schedule them immediately, or smart schedule them immediately without having to actually download them and then re-upload them into a scheduling platform. And you can save all of your like brand guidelines in here. You can save templates in here. So I think it's personally it's extremely robust. I think the features in here are just as good, maybe even better than Adobe Spark or Canva. But ultimately, it's super time saving for me because it's all in one place, right? Now I can see if there's any questions around specific, maybe like product issues or just product questions that you have. uh, Probably best to go through those on the webinar now, but Christina may be able to reply in the chat to any of you, or to contact us via email as well. But this for me really is impressive, the graphics editor within PromoRepublic. And hopefully, like, can people watching this, can you see the value in this? Do you think something like this would help speed up your workflow? Because I know that a lot of you said at the beginning of this webinar, one of the biggest problems you have is, first of all, client collaboration, which we'll talk about, but then it's like the actual workflow aspect. Great. Okay, so we've got some great answers here. Teresa says yes. Venus says yes, he's used it. And the UI is. Monica can't wait till the full agency version is out. Teresa, it's helped. Mary, great value and will speed up. Awesome. This is really good to hear. So I'm really pleased to hear this. So then there is the smart posting feature within PromoRepublic. So this is really good. Like, the artificial intelligence behind this will work out what times your audiences are most engaged and responding to posts more frequently. And PromoRepublic will smart schedule this for you. So it will fill out your calendar for you at all of these times. It will even suggest the right kinds of content to be posting at these times as well. I would love to share my screen with, like, would it be beneficial just very quickly for you to see what this looks like, just for maybe like 30 seconds? And do you think it's worth the risk of us losing the webinar connection again? Everyone, let me know. Let me know what you think. Some people are saying don't risk it. Some people are saying yes. We'll see what we get. So far, it's very split down the middle. Okay. I'm just going to let a few more answers come in and see what you guys think. No risk, no reward. Eddie, I like that, my friend. Eddie, what's your surname, Eddie? Do we know each other? Because I was talking to a social media agency owner called Eddie earlier, and he would say something very similar. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to test it. If it doesn't work, then we'll cut back. And Joe, I know you say this is a feature on all major posting tools, the smart posting. You're correct, but some of the other stuff is super impressive as well. Like with the actual, I just want to show you what the workflow process looks like with the content editor and content creator, because I think you'll be very surprised and very impressed with that. So give me 2 seconds, everyone. I'm just going to try. We're going to try this one last time. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. As Eddie said, no risk, no reward. So bear in mind, I'm gonna, instead of trying to share one specific tab, I'm gonna share my entire screen. Now I have a very wide monitor, so hopefully you'll be able to see. Let's give this a go. 3, 2, 1. We should be sharing. Can you let me know in the chat box if you can see my screen? And if I don't hear any responses or if people say no, then we will give up on the screen sharing element. How about now? Can you see? Oh, we're getting yeses. This is amazing. Okay. Okay, incredible. So my screen is very wide. I would just share one tab, but I don't want to risk it not working again. So are you able to see this like PromoRepublic dashboard on the right hand side? Okay. And it's not too small or anything like that. Amazing. Beautiful. Okay, it's working. Great. So I'm going to show you the post ideas library first. This is one thing that we talked about. We said like coming up with ideas for posts can take a ton of time, can be very difficult. So this is the post ideas library. Now you can select upcoming events. So let's just keep it on all upcoming events. So you know that right now something that is being talked about a lot. A big season coming up is fall. So here is a load of post ideas for fall. Now you can go in, there's like pre-written posts, pre-done images, but you can actually just click on these, open them up. You can edit the text, the copy if you want to. You can edit the image however you want, and this is where it takes you to almost like a Adobe Spark or Canva type creator, if you want to call it that. But you can see the benefits here. It's all in one place, which is amazing. And then I can just immediately schedule it. It's me. Can everybody hear me now? I'm really hoping that you can. Okay, right. So everyone, we are going to have to we're going to have to give up on the screen sharing. I'm really sorry about that. We'll get it fixed for next webinar, I promise. But that was a little sneak peek for you of the content creator. Maybe that will actually be, maybe that'll be better for everyone, right? To give you a little glimpse, but nothing else. We'll see. So that's the content creator. I think you'll really love that. And hopefully you can see just in that short clip the additional value or the additional benefit there. Okay, so last section of the webinar. Again, sorry about the couple of slight hiccups. We're going to talk about client collaboration. Now, a lot of you said at the start of this client collaboration was a difficult area for you. So maybe let me know in the comments or in the chat box even, would you say client collaboration is one of the most difficult aspects of running a social media agency? Okay, so Mary says it's a top problem. Monica says 100%. Okay, and Julie, I can see your post saying that the issue you have is that articles and copy on posts in PromoRepublic aren't refreshed very often. They're refreshed once a month, so that should be more than enough content in there. And of course, you can go in and edit them yourself too. But it seems like a lot of people's main problem is client collaboration. And look, I hear you, I know. So we at PromoRepublic did a survey, and so you can see this is kind of a leading question from me. Everyone say sorry, not sorry. But 78% of agencies say that the approval process is the most time-consuming and problematic area of their business. I just let that sink in. 78% of people or agencies say that the approval process is the most time-consuming. So as an agency owner myself, I don't want to be wasting time. You guys don't want to be wasting time either. And there's a number of ways that we can improve that. Now, Joel says that he doesn't wait for approvals, he just requests trust. And that is one way that you can do things, but it's very difficult to get every single client to agree to that. So you always have to have this kind of backup plan as well for other people. Now, one thing about PromoRepublic and about other tools that is new within this kind of agency platform for PromoRepublic, collaboration platform. So you can, I'm trying to think of the best slide to show you here. So this is the main area where I really wanted to go through and actually show you the screen. But we can go through here. So there's a collaboration platform now within PromoRepublic where you can collaborate with your clients. So you can schedule your content, create the content, schedule the content, and rather than, okay, Mary says I've been muted again. Can anybody else hear me? I'm just going to wait one more time. Okay, other people can hear me, so maybe it's your software, Mary, hopefully not. Anyway, so you can create the content. We've established that. You can then schedule the content for approval. So there's an approval workflow now within PromoRepublic where you can schedule for approval, And then before any of the posts go out, the client of yours can come in and they can either approve the post, they can edit the post themselves if they really wanted to, or they will be able to add a comment to the post. And once they've done that, it will then be posted or scheduled. Now, this feature, so Christina is going to have to jump in here and help me. I'm being asked if the feature is live. Now, I know that the feature is live because I believe it's live anyway, because I was testing it earlier on today. So I'm pretty sure it is live right now. There's a few areas that still need to be worked on and improved, I think, but I'm 90% sure it's live because I saw it in front of my own eyes and I was utilizing it today, but I may have special access, I'm not too sure. But this feature is super powerful and super important because it can save so much time in that collaboration workflow. And it can also actually improve your client relationships too, because if they can see that you're really doing everything you can to improve workflows and to help them, then they'll be really pleased with that. So this is one way that PromoRepublic is working on improving this workflow for you all and for your clients. And we all know that happy clients equals happy agency owners and less stressed agency owners, right? And one of the great things here is you can actually build customer business profiles within PromoRepublic. So what this means is you can have like a separate section in PromoRepublic for each of your clients. So you don't have to look at like 50 social media profiles all on the same screen. You can create separate profiles where at the click of one drop down, you can switch between those profiles. So for me, I have like one profile for myself and my own personal brand. I have a profile for one of my other clients, a profile for the other one, and I can quickly switch between them. I can have them all on the correct time zones, which I really love because one thing when I was working at Hootsuite is if I had multiple clients in multiple different time zones, it's just one time zone as far as I believe for all of the scheduling platform. Whereas on PromoRepublic, you can set time zones for different clients, which is amazing. But I can separate out all of my different clients in PromoRepublic. I can give my different team members access to different clients. So if I have one team member that works on, let's say, A, B, and C client, and a different team member that works on C, D, and E client, then I can give everyone the right access to the right permissions. And this is going to be available on a white label as well, which I'll talk about in a moment. So this is how it works. You can create your content and schedule all of your posts in one place, which we've already discussed is going to save you all a ton of time. You can collaborate with your clients. So again, all in one place. The client approves the content, they can comment on it, they can edit it by themselves. And then you will also get automated weekly and monthly reports of your client performance too. So for me, this is amazing, and this is what the workflow looks like. So we're calling it like your social media control center, right? You can see the approve buttons. They would click in the approve button, or they can edit and suggest comments or changes. Again, I would have loved to show you this, but I don't think we should. I don't think we should risk it with the screen sharing again. So I hope you appreciate that. And it's not just about this platform. Like one thing I've learned, and one of the reasons why I decided to partner with PromoRepublic and work with PromoRepublic, like I have my own agency, I have my own personal brand, my own podcast, a number of areas that are growing very quickly. But I love what PromoRepublic and the team are trying to do around education. You can see the amount of time and investment that we've put into place for this agency and freelancer accelerator. This is the very first part of that. Like I know there's been a couple of slight hiccups in the webinar with screen sharing, etc. But we have so much amazing stuff coming for you. We have some incredible webinars, we have some interviews, we have a load of great guides, blog posts. You can see that we shared the onboarding forms with you, etc., etc. So you can white label the platform. We have all this training, and we're also building an agency community. We have a Facebook group which we will share with you all. Now I can see Christina, my PromoRepublic colleague, has just put in the chat box that we're currently running a discount. So Christina, you jumped the gun a little bit there. I was going to wait a little bit, but we can talk about that now. So first of all, everyone watching this, what do you think? Like, can you see, if you're not already utilizing this agency tool set, or you're not already a PromoRepublic customer, could you see this improving your business or improving the workflow with your current clients? I would love to hear from you. Like, who thinks this is either cool or this will improve their workflow? Because I would love to hear. Like, okay, so Patrick says yes. Joel says yes. There's so much support needed as an agency. I completely agree with you there, actually, Joel, because um, look, I'm 6 months into running my own agency. I'm fortunate that I have a great network of other agency owners and mentors too, but you're correct. There is so much support required. Okay, cool. So we have a lot of people in here that are saying it will free up some of their time. I know that some of you are already customers, which is great as well. I know that some of you are new to PromoRepublic. So we have two. Oh wow! Look, so Monica says it's already saved 50% of their time as an agency, which is amazing. It's really that's really incredible. So we have two offers for you today, and I really think you're going to value and benefit from both of these if you haven't already taken them up. So the first one is to do with content creation. Now we showed you the content creator within PromoRepublic, which is awesome. But again, with the thought of saving time, how many of you would benefit from a package of 20 different social media and unique social media templates created for one of your clients or for your business? How many of you would benefit from that? Because offering this for a special price of $99, we can create 20 unique templates that are all tailored for your business. So it can be branded with your style. It can be any content type from the social content that we've talked about. And it can all be editable, reused. You can use these as templates again in the future. And there'll also be an onboarding tutorial for you all. So this is the first of two offers. I think this is a really good offer, like a really strong offer. I actually think we're kind of giving this away at too little of a cost. But the second offer is amazing as well. So bear that in mind. So this is the first offer, the tailored content bundle. I think a lot of you would see some value in this. Like for me as an agency owner myself, to get 20 templates created by a designer or one of my freelancers cost me a lot more than $99. So I think this is a great, I think this is a great offer. And you can see the quality is good too. And I would really encourage some of you to take this up. Now the next offer is the one that I think you should all be even more excited about. I'm pumped about this. When Christina and I ran through this webinar yesterday, I actually said to her, "Is this price right?" I kind of feel like it's, I think I feel like it's too low, but I guess that's what we're here to do. We want to launch this agency platform, and we want to get some really eager agency owners and freelancers on board. And with that in mind, PromoRepublic are putting together this incredible offer that I think is amazing. And I'm now using PromoRepublic for my agency too. So that offer is, as this agency platform is still early bird, there's still some changes to be made. We're offering a special offer of 50% off of the monthly cost. And that will be for the first 3 months. But if there was anyone that would be looking to take it up for like a longer period of time, then we can maybe have some discussions around that. So the price for this would be $99 a month, and that is for all of what you've just seen, with up to 30 social pages connected. Now, for me personally, I think $99 a month is an incredible price for this based on competitors and other people's pricing and other tools that I've used. It will usually be $99 a month, but for this early launch phase, we are offering this for $48 a month. Now, we really like, you probably see these things a lot, but we really don't have many seats left at this pricing. We're basically trying to get to a certain number of customers on this early bird pricing before we then start to put the prices up. So I really would encourage, like, if you're thinking about this, if you've watched some of this webinar and you think, okay, I would really love to test some of that out or try some of that out, this is totally the best way to do that by getting a 50% off deal. I think is an incredible offer. So I would really, really encourage any of you to take that up if you think this is going to be beneficial for your agency, which I know it will. Now, there will be a few questions, I'm sure. So Christina, I can already see answering some of the questions in the chat box. But the main thing here is if anybody, well, first of all, let's actually ask. So how many people are like happy to publicly say that this is something that they're interested in? I'm not expecting you to like 100% commit to taking this up right now, but how many people are interested in this? Okay, Teresa is interested, Joel is interested, Patrick is interested. Okay, this is great because Okay, Yolanda interested too. This is awesome because we are running, like we literally don't have many spaces. So if you are interested, please put yes in here so we know, because I said on the previous screen, we literally only are offering, I believe, if I'm right, 10 more of these at this price before the price goes up. So what you need to do, I can see there's a lot of interest, which is amazing. I need you to do one thing. If you do want to take up this offer, if you are interested in this offer, I've put my email address on the screen, dylan@promorepublic.com. Now, the only way, or the, well, I was going to say the best way, but the only way that you'll be able to take up this special offer is to send me personally an email. So dylan@promorepublic.com. If you please could put in the subject line um, webinar offer, and then I will, either myself or Christina will get back to you with the next steps. So I can see that in the chat box there was at least 5 or 6 people that said they're interested. So um, I would love to make sure I get at least 5 or 6 emails. I'm hoping for more because I know there's some people that watch these webinars that are kind of a silent party too. So please, if you are interested, send an email to dylan@promorepublic.com and in the subject line put webinar offer. And we're here to help you out. Like ultimately, this is the first in the series of Agency and Freelancer Academy webinars. We have a lot more exciting and interesting things coming up. We have a whole series of webinars that we're working on, and these are going to be happening every single week. So if you found this interesting, like just you wait. There is so much more to come. Before we kind of sign off, I'm gonna stick around and see if there are any questions. So I can see there's a few questions in the chat box. I know that Christy is helping me too. But does anyone have any questions? Anything that we covered in the webinar? It doesn't have to be like PromoRepublic related, pricing related, anything like that. But any questions about onboarding new clients or creating content? You can see Vino's put organic follower growth on Instagram. So that's something that we could cover, not on this session, but in a separate webinar. If you want to talk about Instagram, Vino, one thing that I personally am seeing huge success with right now, it's not organic, but Instagram story ads, very, very cheap cost per click and cost per acquisition for me and my agency right now. So I'd really recommend like taking some time to look into setting up some Instagram story ads. That's where I'm having the most success on Instagram right now. I've actually been running some for my personal brand too to increase my audience size, and they've been going really well. Yolanda says, is the webinar recorded? It is indeed. Now, I know there's been a few issues with the webinar, so hopefully the recording will come out okay, but everyone will be sent the recording and some of the other materials as well after this. Patrick says, is white label part of this deal? I can see Christy's typing away. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah. So white label is definitely an option. We will come to you with details on this in a few days. So Patrick, if you do want to go ahead with this, you are interested, like please make sure you send me an email. So the email address that I've given, and we can get all of that worked out for you. Does anyone else have any other questions? Like they don't have to be offer related or product related. Anything about onboarding, anything like that. Would love to hear from you. So Joel says, does Facebook take text on images from promo posts? What do you mean by that, Joel? I'm not too sure I understand. Okay. So look, if you're worried about how much text you have on an image for a Facebook promotion, like a Facebook ad, Facebook have their own tool, actually. If you just do a Google search for Facebook ads overlay tool, it will tell you whether you've got too much text on your image or not. It'll tell you whether you're high risk, low risk, medium risk. I use it all the time. Just Google Facebook ads overlay tool, and then basically you can upload your image, and it will tell you if you have too much text or not. Super useful. Thanks for jumping in as well and helping out with that, Monica. Any other questions before we wrap up? I can see there's still a few people typing, so I'm not in any rush right now, so I'm happy to hang around for a bit for questions. Okay, so Vino says, if I was managing 20 to 30 posts on Instagram only and the pictures are provided from a clothing brand, what is a good price to charge? Okay, Vino, so we actually have a webinar coming up about pricing in a couple of weeks' time. I'd really recommend tuning into that because I don't think this would be the best place to go through like pricing strategies. I think we would need to go through that on a webinar or on an interview. But I would also recommend just like checking out what your competition are charging, what other people are charging as well, and think about the value that you're going to be adding to the client, how much time it's going to take you, if you need to employ anyone to do that, any tools you use, etc. So Mary has said, does Promo have a Facebook group? So Mary, we just launched a brand new Facebook group for agency owners and for freelancers. If you go onto Facebook and search for, I'm just going to make sure I get this right. I believe it is the Agency and Freelancer Academy. Let me just check. Yeah, so if you go onto Facebook and search Agency and Freelancer Academy, and the and is with the like and symbol, you'll find it. So we launched the group yesterday. I would love anyone that's been on this webinar to come and join the group. So this is going to be a community for people just like you and me, sharing tips, tricks, articles off the back of these webinars, live interviews, etc. So I'd really recommend checking that out. And I can see that someone else has just posted the link as well, so thank you. And Monica said multi-users on PromoRepublic, is that an easy option? Yep, it's super easy to have other users within PromoRepublic. I added my social media manager to the tool today, and it took me like literally 15-20 seconds. Super easy. And you can actually assign them like which profiles to be working on too. So if you remember when we went through like, you can build one profile for one client, one profile for another client, so that they're all separate. You can actually set permissions on each of those profiles for your staff, for example. Amazing. Does anybody else have any other questions? And don't forget, if you do want to take up that special offer, either the content bundle or the agency plan, please make sure you email me, dylan@promorepublic.com, with agency offer in the subject line. So Joel says, how much for the full featured agency plan? Yep, Joel. So right now the pricing, the typical pricing for that is going to be $99 a month, but as I said, we have the 50% offer right now. And yep, you can see there Christy said that the Pinterest integration is coming very soon. That's like, I think that's a sneak peek that she's just revealed for you there. So I'm expecting to see emails from a few of you. And again, like if you have any questions or need any help or support, like the PromoRepublic team are incredible at support. If you want to talk to me or want to learn from me too, like as I said, I have my own podcast, I have my own Facebook group and community as well. I'll share some of that with you. So, Social Media Growth Show, which you can find on iTunes, and my Facebook group is called the Sell More with Social Media. Okay, so Teresa says, will this be ongoing? So I'm not too sure what you mean by ongoing. If you mean the pricing, so this special offer is not going to be ongoing for very long. There's kind of limited seats available on this. This is like the super early bird pricing, so you won't even find the agency pricing on the PromoRepublic website or anything like that. So this is like, if you're watching this webinar, you're one of the very few who's been early to see this. Oh, this type of training. Yeah, so we're going to be doing webinars like this, agency and freelancer focused every single week. I think they're going to be every Thursday. And I'm also putting together a series of interviews with other successful agency owners, with other businesses to talk about agency and freelancer subjects. And that's hopefully going to be going out every week also. So I think that's going to be every Tuesday. And there will also be posts and guides and how-tos with an agency and a freelancer focus. So that's why I've started working with the team at PromoRepublic to help build that out. I'd actually love to hear from you any areas where you're struggling or any areas where you'd like to see more content. You could email me with the email that I gave, dylan@promorepublic.com, and we can make sure some of the content that we're creating is the kind of stuff that you want to see. And Joel said you mentioned a managed content creation support. Is that a PromoRepublic service? Also, templates would be great. Yeah, so Christine might have to jump in from here, but there is a full. I know that PromoRepublic do a full service. I don't know if they're still accepting clients or customers on that, but Christine will be able to jump in and let you know. I can see her typing away. Does anybody else have any other questions? I can see there's still like a good number of you on the webinar, so that's a good sign. No, Christy, I think Joel is talking about the managed service. So if you remember, we showed the like onboarding form for the managed service. Yeah, the managed service. So Joel, I'm sure Christy will come back to you on that shortly. It'd be great actually for anyone that is still here. What did you think of the webinar? Did you find the webinar helpful? What could we improve on the webinar? That's the main thing. Like, I don't want to get a load of like just yeses or just, yeah, it was great. That is great to hear, but it's good to get actual constructive feedback too. So would be better moving forward. Apart from the screen sharing issues that we had, we're going to get that fixed. I can promise you. But thank you, Teresa. Mary says interesting, which is good. I see a few of you are also typing. Cool. So we'll just let the last couple of comments come through in the chat box and then we will wrap this up. If you haven't already, please go ahead and join the Facebook group that we shared for agency owners and freelancers. It'd be great to see you again on the next webinar next week, and hopefully when I open up my email, I will see emails from a few of you and we can get you set up on this new agency platform. It'd be really, really good if we can do that. Great. Teresa, it's been really helpful. She found out that she's on point in certain areas. That's awesome. Thanks, Joel. I appreciate it. Awesome. Great. Thanks, Becky. I appreciate that. So we will end this here. I hope everybody has a great rest of the afternoon. I know most of you are in the US. If you're in Europe, have a good evening. And hopefully we will see you again on the next Thursday. Thanks, everyone.